It's Wednesday morning. It's 9 a.m. and you're live with Mark and Sharon on another episode of Here to Tinpot 2. Theme music. We haven't done that yet.
That's the next.
We're still working on that. How are you, Sharon Boyd?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Yes. How are you? Look at you, all professional in that booth of yours.
I know. We've actually put some money into this. The first time ever in MKL history. I mean, I've got branded hoodies as well available. Get the merch. Oh, maybe that's not a bad idea. That I've got a little man cave. Everything is connected, which is always the case. But I'm very much looking forward to this one because I think we're going to talk about a passion in our lives. Oh, it's going to go down a different route there. A very serious passion in our lives. What is that passion, Sharon?
Cars, all things cars.
It's going to be all things cars today in MKL. And what you will find when it comes to all things cars in MKL is we have a very wide variety of stories, automobiles, and everything in between to chat about. There will be laughs, there will be tears, there will be, I'm not sure about that one. There will be ecstasy. I need to stop talking because I don't know which route I'm going down here, Sharon. So let's kick this podcast off. Obviously, for those of you that know, we have recently done a skydive, and we're still looking for donations to donate to this. It's a very important charity. Mind, Sharon, do you want to just walk us through the thought process of why we decided to throw ourselves out of a plane for this?
Apart from pure stupidity. So I think certainly for me, this is quite close to my heart, the Mind charity. There's been lots of children and adults, especially over the pandemic, that have really struggled, huge amount of change, and that can really affect you mentally. And somebody in my very close family has really struggled. And when we went down the route of trying to explore for some help, we found that through the NHS, everything for mental support is over a year's waiting list. And I thought, okay, that's horrendous, but I get it. Secondly, what can I do to support? What can we do as a leadership team to support in this area? Hence, we did the skydive. Now we kind of thought, okay, how can we raise the most amount of money? What is the most crazy thing to do? Hence a 15,000 feet skydive, which is the highest that you can drop from where we went. And there's the link below. So justgiving.com/fundraising/Sharon-Boyd7. Now we've got quite a long way to go still to reach our target. So please do donate. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for that, Sharon. And we will do a separate podcast on the experience of jumping out of a plane. What Sharon has kindly left out there is the place where we are doing the skydive is the only place in the UK that does over 15 stone. Now, clearly, I'm under 15 stone, and it was Sharon that needed to meet that criteria. So they're the reasons for that. But we will do a separate episode on the skydive, and you'll get all the ins and outs of how terrorizing and fun that was. Now, cars. So we are mega car fans in MKL. I've always had a love of cars. Cars have always been in my life. But when we were thinking about this episode, we both sort of set ourselves a challenge to think about, well, when did the penny first drop that you can remember, more importantly, around cars? And for me, these two films came to mind. So Cannonball Run 2, obviously there was a Cannonball, the first one, which had the black Lamborghini Countach, I remember, with the front splitter on, which was always a bit weird for me because I wondered why they had the front splitter on. You don't really see that these days. Anyway, getting too much in the detail there. And then you had Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2, fantastic. when the snowman started to become the bandit, it lost me a little bit there. Didn't really like the car, and they got silly from them. But that Trans Am, that V8 Trans Am, when he's doing the burnouts at the start. I mean, do you know the song for Cannonball? For Smokey and the Bandit, Sharon?
I'm sure you're going to sing it for us, Mark.
Hear that roar of thunder, hear those tires scream. He's every boy's hero, every lady's dream. Flying down the highway heading west in a streak of black lightning called the Bandit Express. Boom, boom, boom. Look out, the bandits come and get you. Anyway, so we could really go down the mile there. But what I wanted to show people, Sharon, if you don't mind, is a little video clip.
Ooh.
Which I think for those people that are really big on their cars, they're going to get a lot out of this. So let me just take the time to load up the VT. Now, hopefully the sound plays. I believe it will. And we can have picture-in-picture here because look how creative we are. Now, what it might do is it might mute us. And if it does, what I am going to do is I'm going to play the first initial clip up until the point when the cops talk, because I just love that line. And then I'll play the last bit, and I'll explain why I'm going to play the last bit. But for me, when I was a kid, bearing in mind this film came out, I think it was 1984. So I was 2 years old then. So when I eventually understood what I was watching, I think it was 8 or 9 years old. There's a gear change where the Countach changes down and the ladies gun it. And for me, that gear change was just, anyway, roll VT.
We can't hear it.
No sound.
I can now. Oh, no, it's gone again. No, I can't hear it, Mark.
I don't think we got the sound there, did we?
No, sound's not coming across.
Oh my God, that was absolutely terrible. Because I wanted to show the gear change down. I'm trying to get the gear change down because for me, that's one of the most important bits. I mean, look at these ladies here, Jane, doing the hair and the makeup, and then boom, they're gone. Right, let me see if I can get it. So I'm going to mute us two, and let's roll again. Shake your head, Sharon, if it doesn't work. I'm just going to let it play because I can hear it. Hang on. I'll recreate the sound. Now, what an experience.
The joys of being live.
That was absolutely fantastic.
I could see you bopping away. I just couldn't hear a thing.
That's user error, is that? I mean, I was so looking forward to rolling the sound on that because the Cannonball Run theme tune, if you haven't seen it, go have a look. But there's that great scene where, I mean, it is typical late 70s, early 80s male chauvinistic conversation. So the car pulls up behind the cop cars and the cops are going, a couple of wise guys behind us, slow it down, let's see what they do. And the girls fly off around them in the car. And the coppers go, whoa, that's a couple of great looking chicks, let's nail them. And then off they go. And then at the end, they're sort of sat there doing their makeup and they have to get to the Cannonball Run, which is 150 miles away. And they go, an hour flat, meaning they're doing 150 miles an hour. So then off they go again. And then they get up behind the cop car and they're beeping and flashing their lights. And then they fly around them and drop it down a gear. And that engine just, it gives me goosebumps now just of thinking about it. That engine note is just something to absolutely behold. I absolutely love it. So that for me was when the penny sort of dropped for cars, and ever since then, it's just been a whirlwind love affair. What about yourself, Sharon?
So mine's probably more of a slow burn, I'd say. I when you asked me this question about, how did I first fall in love with cars? I think I probably inherited it from my dad. So my dad massively loves cars. Yeah, 2 immaculate cars, still got classic cars now. And we used to spend quite a while pottering about underneath the bonnet, him underneath the car, fiddling around. And I just grew up with cars, I think, really. We watched Top Gear all the time. I remember Ariel Atoms being on there and thinking, wow. Yeah, I know you're a massive Top Gear fan as well. And then the second I turned 17, I was like, right, I need my freedom. Really busy house because there were six of us, six kids in the house, and I just could not wait to pass my test and go off on adventures. And cars were a ticket to my freedom, really. And I had
Sorry, Sharon, did you say 6 children in that house? Did your mum and dad not have a TV?
I know you were going to say that. Yes, we did have a TV where we watched lots of.
What's in the water in Milton Keynes?
No, that was Luton. But yeah, It was. Yeah, that was. Yeah. So as soon as I could kind of get in my car and step on the gas, away I was looking for adventures. Yeah. So I think that was for me really. And I had we'll go into first cars later, but one of my cars I had the most amazing sound system, mini disc player when that was a thing. Oh yeah, here we go. So the top red one, I'm embarrassed by this, and I can only say it's a Micra. No, it's a Micra. And I really wanted a Nova. This, for those of you who are of a certain age, Nova was the place to be. I wanted a Nova. We went looking for cars. I took my dad with me, and because he knows about cars. But he fancied the lady that was selling this particular red car, and for some reason that was the car that I bought with my own money. Anyway, so I very quickly got rid of that as soon as I possibly could and moved to the white Fiesta on the right, and it had a big massive white strip across the front that was probably illegal across the windscreen. And the biggest speakers and sub that I could fit in it, and big blue sound system, and I absolutely loved it. And from then on, I just fell in love with cars. I just loved cars. So yeah, and you had go on, tell us about your car. You had the Corsa, didn't you?
The Corsa. But first, please tell me, across that white strip on that Fiesta, you had Shazza's Mobile or something wrote across it that went, yeah, I'm here, guys, yeah. Because back in the day, I grew up in that sort of boy racer, Nova, Astra GSI, the Holy Grail, Renault 5 GT turbos, the GSI 2000, Cavalier, Lotus Catalans, all that sort of, that big 80s sort of hot hatch era.
Yeah.
I grew up in that time, but it was a very male-dominated, if I dare to be so bold to call it a sector, area. So I would imagine that when your car turned up, no doubt it was probably on its ass because it had been lowered illegally. Massive sub in the boot with someone going out the back of it, and then you step out and go, "What?"
Yeah, I was the only one in my group of friends who passed their test for quite some time. So I always used to have loads of people in the back, and we just had such a great time just driving around. And I just had on a mission on the car. Yeah, someone broke into my car, Luton, quite often, and someone nicked my hairbrush and a picture of me that was on my work pass and my stereo speakers, and I cried so much.
Wow. So in Luton, let's go back, any police officers watching this, if there's a date of a serial killer taking pictures and hairbrushes, maybe start with a white Fiesta. But yeah, for me, I had the bubble Corsa because what I didn't mention at the start is what I always remember, and this is the problem with modern cars now. I mean, we've both got modern cars now. Most people have got modern cars. Back in the day, when I was a kid, I remember coming out of my house in the summer, and there would be my dad and my uncle, and they'd be on the drive, and they'd have those steel ramps where they'd drive the car up, and one of them would be underneath, taking the gearbox out. Maybe even it might be an engine change, it might be something, but they'd be always tinkering, but they do it at home. Now you today take your M3, Sharon, and you take that on your drive and you go, I'm going to change the sequential gearbox on it with my double clutches. Yeah, good luck with that. You just wouldn't be able to do it. So that for me, that was sort of being around that. So why wouldn't I then go for a Corsa? Because I couldn't afford a Nova. I couldn't afford a Nova SR. Couldn't afford, definitely not afford a Nova SRI or anything like that. So it was a Corsa for me. But what I did love about my little bubble Corsa, other than the fact that when I was sat in traffic, I had to turn the engine off because the temperature gauge would rise. So I had to make sure that it was off when I was sat in the traffic to stop it from stalling and just overheating and dying. Was you would lock your keys. So where I'm pointing now, you'd lock your keys in. But the great thing about the Corsa, which was a fantastic design, Vauxhall, so thank you for thinking of this, was you could fold the door back here by about 3 or 4 inches before it did any structural damage onto the hinges, which was an amazing design feature. God knows how they thought of this, but you could fold it back 3 or 4 inches and then get a coat hook in to then hook your keys out of the ignition and then pull them out. I mean, you don't see that in this day and age, do you? You just see people, with keyless entry and all that lot. So if you lock your car's keys in now, then good luck trying to bend a BMW or a Mercedes or any sort of car's door back. But I do remember 3 of us pulling that door just ever so slightly back about 3 or 4 inches and getting a coat hanger in to then hook it out of the ignition. But yeah, I got rid of that eventually. So, oh my God, right. So is this a police car? What's this?
This was my first Beamer, and I am such a Beamer girl. So I've had, 4 in a row now. And what made me laugh about this one, I mean, this is it's a BMW 3 Series. And when I sold it, I really didn't want to sell it, but the part of the exhaust had fallen off and it was making a proper boy racer sound by then. And I live in quite a nice area, and I thought,
if I do say so myself, yes, just let everybody know that.
And then so I put it out for sale. And so guys turned up that were about the same age as me, I think, and they were proper boy racers. And they were like, and I said, I don't think it even starts at the moment. I mean, they were like, it's no problem. They came around at like 11 o'clock at night with torches and they jump started it. They bought it on the spot without really even looking at it. Anyway, we had to connect through Facebook so we could do the sale. A couple of days later, they proper pimped her up. She had bright orange rims. And I just love that because I knew she was getting a new lease of life. My other half was like, just get rid of it. It's old now, scrap it. I was like, no, she's still.
What was it? It's a 3 Series, isn't it? But was it a 318i? What was it?
318 compact. It's a compact one.
Tiny little engine.
Yeah. But I loved it. And I remember them just drifting it in the snow, and I could hear it because they didn't fix the exhaust, obviously, because that's what they wanted. I've just had BMWs ever since then. They've got gradually better, but this was my first one.
The thing with modern BMWs now, as I've found, is I've got a great scheme that I'm in as a result of where my partner works, so I get to change my car very, very frequently, probably every sort of other week. So I get the joy of driving so many different cars, which is a great experience. But what I've found is, so at the moment I'm driving a new Shape 4 Series, and it looks the absolute bee's knees. It looks fantastic. The wheels are beautiful. They've got the new sort of grille on it now, but instead of having that black mesh that you've got there on that Beamer, they've got like it's like a little T-bars, like in an offset gold. It looks absolutely beautiful. However, it's got a piddly little 1.8 litre engine in it, so it absolutely looks the part, but when you try to gun it, it doesn't go. The car before that, I had a 340i Touring. So a 3 Series estate, but it was a 340i, and that thing was a monster. So imagine this: you sat at the lights in that 4 Series, and people come inside going, "Oh yeah, I'll have a bit of him. Yeah, I'm going to see what he can do." And you go, and then before that, someone will pull up beside you, and you're going, "Here's Dad here with his station wagon." Off he goes, and you absolutely monster them. They don't know what's coming to them, but that for me, if you get a BMW, and I'm sort of leading on to where your cars are now, Sharon, for me, if you get a BMW, you've got to get a big engine in it because it's rear-wheel drive for one.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
We've got to hold that thought. Well, yeah, I thought we'd just go into kind of everyone has got a story to tell, and I've got 3. so I'll whiz through them quick because they've all kind of got the same kind of Alton Towers and that multi-story on the right. So that curly one, Luton again, in that red Micra. Now I got to, this was a really steep circular ramp. Heat of summer, got to the top, but not quite to the top, and broke down. And there was just smoke everywhere. And yeah, cars backed up the entire way. I couldn't reverse, couldn't get up. I was stuck. And I was, oh no. So I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to push it. It's like thinking, oh no, am I going to roll it back down? Trying to push it. I didn't know what to do. This was a complete nightmare. Thankfully, some guys got out and pushed me up the ramp, and I managed to get out. I just thought, this was a moment where, when you just feel like not only is the car overheating, but you are as well from the stress. That was awful. I remember that vividly. Alton Towers. I can't remember which car that was, but yeah, we broke down, like again, summer, we broke down. There's a huge traffic jam on the way into Alton Towers. It's like, it was miles and miles and miles. And there was a stinky bus in front of me, and I could just smell this engine smell. And I thought, oh, that bus stinks. It was actually my car. And it broke down in the middle of this, traffic jam. Eventually the AA came and towed me into the park, but what they did was they towed me into the pedestrian exit, which was okay, but by the time the AA had fixed it and we went to drive out, I then had to drive through an absolute there was just a crowd of pedestrians all trying to get out of Alton Towers at the same time because the fireworks had just gone off, and they're all banging the car, and push chair. It was horrendous. And I knew that they were just going to keep going for hours. So I was going slow, just thinking, please don't run anyone over. And eventually got out and thought, I'll just get on the M1 and we'll be all right. Motor was closed. We never went back again.
Alton Towers since?
No. So that broke me. That did. The stress of that.
Alton Towers is I've had okay experiences at Alton Towers. I think for me, I once agreed to stay on resort, which I won't do again because I needed a second mortgage to be able to stay on resort at Alton Towers. But that's probably a different conversation altogether. Now, as I was saying before, if you're going to get a BMW, then make sure it has the right engine in it. And I think, as we can tell here by the ever so faint quad exhausts, we're looking at something a little bit special here, Sharon. And 10 points if people can know what we're looking at. There's a little telltale sign there. You can tell by the wheels. Maybe you can see the calipers. As I said, you got the quad exhaust. There's something there. Who knows what that is? So we'll give them 2 seconds to have a guess and see what that is. But do you want to put them out of their misery, Sharon? What's that?
Oh, this is my baby, my absolute baby. This is an extension of me. And if anyone tells me to sell it, then yeah, don't even try it. This is my BMW M3. She's a V8, 5 litre. Oh, I am in love with this car. Let me just tell you that. So yeah, I've had her for about, I want to say 3 years now. Is it that? Probably. Yeah, I think it's something like that. And this car just brings me so much joy. On the right, you can see I was doing some training. I was training a company on customer experience, and it happened to be a car company. And I I had an issue with the car. It just kept going into limp home mode, and they fixed it for me while I was there. And I was able to train them in the room above and look out and see my baby down there having its operation. So that's why that picture is there. But yes, this is my
And they took the trim off it there, didn't they, as well, Sharon? I think because
someone nicked it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the problem, isn't it? Is that once one goes, then especially when it's a convertible and the roof snaps in half and then goes into the boot, you've got to do it. Now I've had different M3s and M4s over the course of the past sort of 4 years, I would say. One of the things that I was really disappointed at BMW for doing, and I get it, because of carbon emissions and all that stuff, and I really shouldn't be preaching anything other considering what sort of business we are. Yeah. However, when the new M3 came out, and I read that they dropped it from a V8 to a V6, but whacked a couple of big turbos on it, I thought, okay, it's not a V8. I get that. And by the way, this is a car podcast, so we are going to geek off it. So if you don't like it, then you shouldn't really be watching a car podcast. And I thought, right, okay, so they're going to drop the V8. I understand that. So, well, I don't understand it, but I get why they're doing it. But they're going to put two big turbos on it. And I was lucky enough to have a few of these ones that have got the V6 engine and the turbos. And one thing I did find very disappointing, and those watching it who do have the newer version of the M3s, M4s, and M5s, M6, and then an M7 now as well, M8, they synthesize the sound into the actual car itself. So I'd be sat there revving it or giving it some, putting it into sports mode, having there's two buttons now on the steering wheel, whereas before on Challenge you've got the M button. On the newer ones you've got a 1 and a 2. I used to put the 1 in absolute lunacy mode. So you press that 1, it would put the gearbox into race, in more throttle response, heavier steering. It was just an absolute monster. And then 2 would be granddad mode, when I wanted to try to get my miles per gallon from 12 to 13. So that's what I do. But when I pressed that 1 button and gunned it, I'm sat there going, Jesus Christ, it feels like I'm having a right moment here. It feels like like someone's trying to kickstart a furnace to build the world. And what I found out is, on the outside, it sounds okay. It sounds all right. But on the inside, it sounds so much better. I was really disappointed with that, because yours, when you gun yours, no matter if you're in it or not. I mean, I've been in the car with Sharon, and if you're ever lucky or unlucky to be in the car with Sharon, she drives the speed limit, if any police officers are watching, but how she gets to that speed limit is a different equation altogether. That V8, naturally aspirated, it just sounds phenomenal.
It does. It really does. And this isn't particularly a muscle car, but I love American muscle cars. I had a huge passion and obsession with Mustangs for ages. And I nearly bought a Mustang before I bought the M3. And I took Matthew with my youngest, and we drove it. And I just loved the sound of it. But as again, being a BMW girl, I thought, right, well, Mustang's brilliant. And I'm definitely like that thing that goes squirrel. I'm like that for Mustang. But the M3, I saw this and I heard it and just thought, this has got the best of both. And that's why I ended up with this. But yeah, like muscle cars are my thing. I love that sound. That's what you really, going to electrical cars, I get it. Electric is the way forwards, but the sound and the smell and the speed that you get from a V8 engine, especially a naturally aspirated one, are just amazing.
Well, I was having this conversation with a chap from Tesla. So I was lucky enough to go out in one a while ago, and he put it in lunacy mode, I think ludicrous mode, sorry. And all the Starship sort of warp enterprise thing happened on the readout as he gunned it. And it was like a roller coaster. I have never experienced acceleration like that before on the road. Never. And it was fantastic. I had a great time. There was things that was hard. I'm on about goosebumps and nips here, not things, but it was absolutely fantastic. But I remember saying to the guy at the time, you just said it there, Sharon, is where's the whizzes and the pops and the noise? Where's the smell? Where's the? I mean, if you're driving an Audi RS4, 5, 6 or anything like that, that takes a little droplet of petrol and drops it into the exhaust manifold, and that's where you get the.
Yeah.
Now, yes, Teslas are fantastic, and I would have a Tesla in a heartbeat, but I think parked at the side of it in my 2-car garage would always be a muscle car, and every now and again I would start it, smell it, because eventually these are going to die out. They just are, and God knows what's going to replace them. But so we've got here, Sharon, Silverstone. I know you and I have been lucky enough, one, to watch the F1 there, and to drive round the track. I did it in an Aston Martin Vantage a number of years ago, so I got to bomb it down that pitch straight there, which it doesn't do it justice, does it, when you watch a Formula One, how long that pitch straight is, and they seem to pass it very quickly. But what's happening here?
Yeah, so Silverstone is not far from me, and I absolutely love it. I put the chopper in because you got to go to the Formula One in a chopper, which was a totally different experience to what I had. I took my youngest with me, and we had a proper geek out day. But yeah, that's why that chopper's there, because Mark got the VIP treatment. But the very first time I went, I ran it, and I can't tell you, I was so pumped just to be my actual feet on the Silverstone track. And then the right hand picture, which is like the greeny color, that's actually my bonnet. And we did a virtual, not really virtual, but like when it was COVID and we couldn't do any proper events, you were able to drive on the track, and they're doing it again this year with all light shows and everything. And I was so giddy. My kids had to tell me to calm down, because I was literally like, I'm driving my M3 on the Silverstone track like this. I was just so ridiculously excited to be actually physically driving on the track. So this is why I had to put a slide in. We're talking about cars. Silverstone, amazing for me, and watching the Formula One, being there in the presence of all that kind of, oh yeah.
I was I've watched, I've drove on Silverstone. I haven't run it, which I can imagine is amazing, but
Yeah.
I stayed at the Yas Marina hotel. I think it was in 2016, 17. I can't remember what it was. And the Yas Marina Hotel is in Abu Dhabi, and that sits, it straddles the Yas Marina circuit. So there's that infamous bridge. You know, if you're into your F1, you'll see that beautiful hotel that sort of sits there and lights up and looks fantastic at the night. So I was lucky enough, every Tuesday in Abu Dhabi, you get to go there for free, which is phenomenal, and walk it. You can either get a bike and ride around it, or you can walk it or run it or do whatever you want. So myself and my wife and our, I think it was 4-year-old then, did it. But at home, I wish I'd have brought it in. At home, I've got a little bag.
Marbles.
Probably about that big, yeah. And that was the thing. So I got loads of marbles. And again, if you're a Formula One fan, I don't need to explain what that is. But if you're not, the marbles are the hot rubber that sits across the F1 car tires. So as you'd imagine, a lot of friction that these cars produce, the rubber on their tires, you know, gets the boiling point, and that's why when they drive over the marbles, it can be a bit like driving on marbles, because you're a bit literally on the top of the surface, but they fly off as they're driving around. So the hot rubber will fly off, it'll ball up, and then it will just go to the side of the track. So I'm walking around there with Kelly, and I'm picking up all these big sort of chunks of rubber, and people are looking at me weird, going, "Mate, you look like you're picking up dog poo." And I'm going, "No, this one is rock solid. So it's been here for a long time. So whose car's that come off?" And I've got a bag of just rubber chunks at home in a memory cupboard, and I'll never forget that. I thought it was fantastic. So, can I see, if I dare be so bold to say, you've got a Hellcat, you've got a Ferrari F430, I think at the bottom, 911 Turbo, Eleanor. Yeah, and a horrendous modern day Mustang in the middle.
Yeah, the Hellcat was the very first time I've been on a track, and you can't really see my face on that, but you can imagine that I had, like, my grin was from here to here. I got in, 1,000 horsepower, this thing. Left-hand drive, first time I've ever been on track. We did the briefing, everything. You say, you know, you gotta watch what you're doing, watch your speed. You can die on this track and everything. Got in, going, it's left-hand drive, and it was manual. I'm used to automatic, but I absolutely loved it. I can't tell you. And from then on, all I ever wanted to do was do track days, and that is a huge passion for me. If ever having a bad day or I'm having a hard time, I go, right, I'm going to go and book a track day. And there's one just down the road for me in Hemel where I've done drifting and stuff like that. And that is a huge passion. But yeah, you've got the Mustangs. I drove 3 Mustangs on that particular track day. And
what was the Eleanor like? Because it looks fantastic, but I can imagine it doesn't drive too well.
Well, what you can't see there now, you know how tall I am, Mark. I'm a dinky one, aren't I? I had to, in the back of that, there's no back seat. The front, the driver's seat is pushed right the way back. It's manual, it's old, everything's broken and fallen apart. But they had to give me like about 3 booster seats, booster cushions, just so I could reach the steering wheel, which was already a bad start. But yeah, out of the 3, because I drove 2 newer ones as well, that actually was, you know, my least favorite Mustang to drive. It was the one I was most looking forward to, and yeah, I kind of thought, okay, I've done it now. It was slower than the others. Whereas the newest one, oh yeah, absolutely loved it. 2018 one was amazing.
You see, this is where you and I completely disagree.
Yeah.
And that's why I said horrendous modern day Mustang. Because I remember when you were in the market for a new car and you were umming and ahhing over an M3 and a Mustang. And yes, I completely understand the appeal of a Mustang in terms of a muscle car. And it's got line lock and all that stuff where you can lock the front brakes out and burn the back tires. I mean, what a cool feature to have on an actual car that they've actually designed that in to have line lock. But call it age or whatever it might be, but I love my cars fast, really fast, but they've got to have good build quality as well.
Yeah.
That those Mustangs have got a fantastic engine, 5 litre, not enough power for me, to be honest, from 5 litre, but that's Americans for you. But in terms of the build quality, you can't match a Mustang to an M3. You just can't. The refinement is and yes, that is clearly marked in the price tag that you're going to pay. So if you don't have the money to buy an M3, then I'd say a Mustang is a good second choice. But if you've got the money to buy either, I'd love to understand the rationale for going Mustang. Maybe it's parts, I don't know. But
I think it's the sound. It's, for me, if I put those two, like that 2018 that I was going to buy compared to the M3 that I did buy, you start them up and you rev them, the Mustang wins. But you get in and you look, as you say, build quality, the fact it's a BMW, all the rest of it. And there's something a bit more, I think, yeah, I'm so tuned into Mustangs. I see one driving along and my kids are already saying it before I am because they're so like, in our house, it's Mustang.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something about those. It's an itch I need to scratch at some point. But yeah, out of the 3, the Eleanor, not so good. The Hellcat absolutely blew me away. That sort of horsepower was just amazing. And then I got to drive the Aerial Atom, and wow, that was one hell of a hit of adrenaline. And if I could do that again, I would in a heartbeat. It's amazing.
It's just an engine, isn't it? I mean, there's no weight to it. I mean, I think the power to weight ratio is more than a Bugatti Veyron, if I can remember correctly, in terms of brake horsepower per ton. But it is ridiculous. I mean, I'm just looking there, Sharon, when you're talking, you can tell that this 430 is a track day car, because I don't know if you can see this, viewers, but look at the splitter there on the front. It is all scuffed because they've ragged it around, and that is a beautiful machine. A long time ago, I remember when my boss, an old boss I had, bought one of these for himself, and he brought it to our one-to-one. So clearly our one-to-ones were going to be a serious affair because we were talking all things development. But I said to him, I remember when he bought it, I said, oh, please, can you bring your Ferrari? I'm a massive Ferrari fan. And he did. And he said, do you want to go out with it? And I went, yeah, okay. So this is before the engines changed in Formula One, and they sound like those horrendous things they do now. So this is when the Formula One cars sounded like a Formula One car. And I'll never forget the moment he took me out in that car, and we went under a bypass and he gunned it. Everything sort of came to life for me. I've never experienced the speed and sound. As I said before, the Tesla was fast, but the speed and the sound, that sounded like a Formula One car going through the tunnel at Monaco. It was phenomenal, and God bless him for doing that for me. But I really enjoyed it. Do you not find though, Sean? Because I was lucky enough to drive a 911 once turbo. That if you're putting that car up against a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever that might be on the straight, I don't think it's going to peg it. But what I found was in the corners with a 4-wheel drive of a 911 turbo, I was gobsmacked at how it can stay with these hypercars. Never mind supercars, it could really stay with them. And I sort of looked at 911s thinking, well, they've never changed the design really from the Beetle. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of Porsche. I think they're the reliable supercar, aren't they? But they're a bit. I think I find them a bit boring. But that's before I drove one. And when I drove the 911 Turbo, I thought, actually, this feels quite special, and it's got good build quality because it's German.
Yeah, I found it it was just fun. Yeah, as you say, we drove a Lamborghini and stuff like that, but the Porsche, I found it quite fun. I wouldn't say out of all of them it was in my top 3, but certainly had a good time driving it.
Yeah, it's one of those cars where you think, okay, it maybe be a day-to-day car if you had the money. So you wouldn't take your Ferrari out every day because it's that for me. The Ferrari is a ballerina's point shoe. The 911 is a workman's boot, so you can use it every day. The Ferrari you'd take out when the sun was just right. There was no dew on the road or anything like that, and you weren't scared of anybody spitting at it or and never getting let out at a junction ever again. So I'm seeing something drifting here. Is that a Nissan 350Z? What's going on there?
It is, yeah. So this was my birthday present to myself. Not the car, the drifting. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. And it was just such a fascinating experience because when you learn to drive, it's all about control, isn't it? You learn to be in control of the car all the time, and to go drifting. I think you can see my little face there with the helmet on. You've got to you have to completely unlearn that and learn how to be out of control in a controlled way. And I'll definitely go back and do that again. And if you haven't been drifting, people who are watching this, go and give it a go. The one we're close to Hemel here, but they've got the Nissans, and just so much fun. They really are. So yeah, go and do it if you haven't.
That's the line of the day for me. That what did you say? Learning to be uncontrolled in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
Isn't that? There's a metaphor there, isn't there? Somewhere.
So often we're all like we're trying to be so controlled in everything we do and perfect. And yeah, if you've got something really big on your mind and you turn it over and over and over, stepping into a car like this and just letting it rip basically, and just going with it and being out of control really gives you a whole different perspective.
And drifting on a track is very different to when you're drifting on the street. Now, don't drift on the street because that is illegal. However, I do remember when I got it was a Hulk Green, as my son calls it, M3. I think it was back in 2015. Beautiful car. You know, it had the black alloys. It was green. It had green calipers, carbon roof. Stunning car. And I remember I took my dad out in it. At the Stanley bypass in Bradford, and it was a little bit damp that day. And I remember coming off the roundabout, and I didn't mean to give it so much beans, but it's an M3, and I wanted to show him what it could do. And I remember putting my foot down, the back end came out, and luckily I caught it, but I did such a nervous laugh afterwards, and he was kicking off at me as a result of it, and I was staring after going, Jesus Christ, that could have been very expensive. That could have been a very expensive mistake. So drifting on the road, no. If you've got the pants to do it, then feel free, but do it safely. Do it maybe late at night. Ha! Kit.
Yes. I think you've driven a character car, have you?
I think I've driven in my time. I drove. Oh, is it the 18 van?
Oh.
And it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. I thought I was going to jump in this van V8, burn out the tires, off I'd go. No, it was slower than a Transit. It was terrible, absolutely
Yeah.
terrible.
And I had the same experience with the kit car. It didn't help. I mean, the lady that you can see in there, the instructor, I think it was her first day. She was incredibly nervous.
She looked happy.
She was incredibly nervous. I mean, what's weird about these cars, this kit, is it doesn't have a proper speedometer, so you have no idea what you're doing. It has changeable letter numbers, which is meant to be like the proper kit car. So it says like you're doing, I don't know, 5,000 miles per hour, and it keeps flicking over. So you have no idea how actually fast you're doing. But I felt like I was doing about 28 on a track, and all of these cars were overtaking me constantly, whizzing round, having the time of their life. And I was just like, and she kept going, pull over and let the Porsche go past, let the Lambo go by. And I was like, oh,
the McLaren's breathing down your neck there.
Yeah. And I just, I kind of went, she went, do you want to do some more laps? And I went, no.
It looks good, but it's, I mean, on the program, Kit was absolutely fantastic, but they do say, don't they, never meet your hero. And they're nothing like the modern day cars that you've got that McLaren in the background there. I mean, that I think it was that model there that was helped designed by Lewis Hamilton when he was at McLaren for the steering. So, but I remember James May saying on Top Gear when the McLaren first came out, and I think that was to rival the Ferrari what was it? Not F350, F450? No, I can't remember what one it was. F430. No, I don't think it was the one for that. Anyway, the McLaren came out to rival the Ferrari, and I remember James saying that the McLaren is technically the better car, but it doesn't give you the fizz.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the sort of like, the joys of driving something that would absolutely take your face off. Whereas the Ferrari 458, that was it. Just wanted to check that then for the viewers. Now, I've got an Argos fan and someone looking very happy in a biz, like it's their first day out. Bless. Someone who looks like they're an 80s undercover SAS person. And then someone who's gone to work with a dad. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, do you remember at the start I said that my dad had a big input into kind of my love of cars? Or when I was first learning to drive, well, before that even, he always had work vans, and he'd let me drive his van occasionally on private land, obviously. And he first taught me to reverse park in a van, which is, I'm actually quite good at that. Parallel parking, nightmare. Reverse park, I can do. Anyway, so when I was at Argos, I had the chance to, as part of a project I was running at the HQ, to learn how to drive the vans. And I had to pass an assessment, 2-hour assessment, to be safe enough to drive these around. And they're huge. I mean, that's 22 foot. And I just loved it. I was wearing the driver's uniform. I got to the first drop I did was at the prison just up the road, which was very weird, expecting to go to people's houses and end up at a prison. But yeah, I just loved driving it, just the sheer size of it. And then the tank there, I remember that day. That was another birthday present to myself, tank driving. And me and my husband, the kids all turned up and we all got to wear the kind of camouflage outfits. We've got lots of pictures of us all smiling in camo. But I just loved it because I turned up and they started talking to my husband saying, all right, so are you ready? And I'm going, it's
me.
And it was just so brilliant. And it drives completely different to anything else. It's all levers and cogs and it's pedals. It's weird. And that was a whole, I'm little, I could only just see out the top. I was literally just, trying to stretch my neck up the whole time to see out the front. But that, I'd definitely repeat that. That was so fun. And then, then the fire engine. And we got to do lots of different maneuvers in that as well. And the kids are in the back and playing with the siren. And I just really like driving big vehicles. I guess it's the size of it.
And that's the thing. And what I do like is on your camo, as an ex-military individual, they actually gave you the clip-on belt there. That's got like a Jubilee clip on it that just goes and clicks on the middle. So I was interested to understand what the belt was for, because normally you use that to hang stuff off, but it looks like you're just using it as a fashion accessory.
Yeah, that's my own belt. I bought that with me because
Oh.
I wanted to look cool. Yeah, that's pure. Yeah, cosmetic. That is.
So you were the one that brought. Oh, there's me thinking that. Did they give you the jacket at least?
They gave me the jacket, yeah, but it obviously isn't very flattering on a lady. So I wanted to pull it in at the waist.
Right, I see what's happening here. Yeah, right. I'll keep that in mind in future in case we ever do anything as a team that accessories are needed. But I'm not seeing you accessorize here. There's no belt on the
Oh, I've got a
on the high
massive.
vis.
Well, I've got the Argos uniform on and the huge high vis on. I mean, you can't miss me, can you? I'm like as nearly as big as that van in that, but yeah, super fun that was.
And if anybody's watching this on audio, what we're looking at here is Sharon delivering something to what I can only describe as a bewildered man. I can imagine the look on his face because Sharon will be uber yellow there. And he'll be just going, "Can I just have a parcel, love? Yeah."
Stop talking to me.
She's turned up in a Mercedes Sprinter van. Those that know that those Sprinters are fun to drive. And then the second picture, she stood beaming like a Cheshire cat next to a tank, and then the third one, it looks like she's having a day out because she's on day release for something. And she's in a fire truck. So yeah, it's interesting. Now I can see something very special here. For those of you that can see this, there's a very special lady on the screen. For those of you that can't, it's something called the Spirit of Ecstasy. 10 points if you can tell me what automobile company that belongs to. Do you want to tell me, Sharon, why this slide's here?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. So we are all about big, hairy, audacious goals in MKL, and I know that the Rolls-Royce Ghost is a huge goal for you. And as well as just being an amazing car, beautifully built, beautifully designed, handcrafted, and just top of the world type product. We've talked about this previously. You've been lucky enough to go along and see the customer experience of being able to pick and choose and build and design your own Rolls-Royce car, and the way that they do that and the way they make you feel and the kind of the theatre that they put in it to make it perfect. So I wanted to put this in there because quite often when you buy a car, just go to the showroom or it gets dropped off on your drive, you're not normally part of the whole journey of being part of the handcrafting of the car. And as a real lover of cars, I know what that means and what that would be like for you to be able to go and choose your car and the upholstery and the polish and the colour and all of that.
It's like nothing you've ever experienced before. For like you say, it's a very small group of people that actually go to design their car. Now, yes, you can buy any sort of car and say, I want it this colour and that colour. Rolls-Royce take it to a completely different level. I mean, you could go into Rolls-Royce when we were lucky enough to have a walk round. You could go in and say, I like this red on my shoe. And they will take an exact match of that red and they will make anything, including the car, red as a result of that. But what I found was fantastic was, yes, they take you on the factory tour, so you get to see the Starlight roof being made and all the wires that go into that, and it is just it's just a work of art. But the whole theatre, from designing the car, and you can bespoke and have anything you like unique. Certain woods, you can have a design in the woods. You can anything you can imagine you can have in that car. But then when they do the reveal, we were lucky enough to see the stage, and there's a big stage. It's a rotating sort of platform, big heavy velvet curtains, and you've got a lovely seating area where they have champagne and lovely music playing, and then all the lights go out and it goes, and then the lights start going, and then the curtains open, and boom, there is your Rolls Royce in whatever it could be a Ghost, a Phantom, a Wraith, whatever Rolls Royce you've got, boom, it's their Cullen even, so you can have anything. But there's a little thing that I like. I think we saw it on a program, didn't we, where there's only one guy in the UK or in the world that does the coach lines down the side of a Rolls Royce. If you see a Rolls Royce, just have a look at the coach lines down the side of them. And the coach lines are the strip that sort of runs down the side of the car. Now, they're all done by hand. A machine doesn't do that. A guy does that. and he's the only person in the world to do it. And I remember him saying in an interview that, let's say I ordered my Rolls Royce, and 2 months later I've had it and I've gone, I actually want the coach lines doing. And I might not be living in the UK at that time. I could be in America, I could be anywhere. From a customer experience point of view, they say no one should bring back a Rolls Royce once they've had it delivered. And they fly that guy out at their expense to you to put the coach lines on your car for you where you are and where you live. Now, that for me just showed the opulence of this vehicle. And for me, it's not a status symbol. It's really not for me. The car is phenomenally expensive. I think for a fully specced out Ghost, you're talking anywhere from £250,000 to £400,000 with all the options and extras on it. But money aside, it's the passion, it's the engineering, it's the handcrafting, it's how bespoke it is to you. That's what gets me excited about it, because you could even go buy, you know, a Bugatti, you could buy anything, but that doesn't give me the fizz. A Rolls Royce Ghost specced out to how I want it, that would be heaven. That'd be my day-to-day car. I'd go to Morrison's in it.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? And I can see why that is your big, hairy, audacious goal, because that would be very hard to get there. And it's not for everyone. It's a beautiful car that's just a car of dreams.
It really is. It really is a car of dreams. I think that takes us to the end now. We're coming up to an hour. Seems like a nice way to end that podcast. I want to do it about cars. Again, as always, during these lives, any comments or questions that you might have, maybe there's been some cars that you've seen on here, or ones that you would like us to have mentioned, or what was your love of cars, what started you off, then yeah, as always, we like comments, we like feedback, anything that you might have. Now, the third podcast is a somber topic, but it's an important one. Because we like to read, we like to do reviews. We recently read the book Ordinary Men, which is about Reserve Police Battalion 101. We'll go into more detail about this, but I think it's important to talk about this book and what it symbolizes, and some of the learnings that we took from the book, because they are very poignant in today's world. So we'll talk about that in the third episode. So I haven't got anything else, Sharon, unless you do.
No, it's been fantastic to get into the excitement of cars, but I'll need to calm down now.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? And then we'll go and be normal people again. But no, thank you everyone for watching and listening, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.